Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Streets, and today I'm going to show you how to implement a makerspace in your special ed classroom. Over the past couple of decades, makerspaces have become a very popular and effective tool to teach students science, technology, engineering, art, and math concepts. However, in my research, I have found that there is a surprising lack of easy-to-digest resources for implementing such a space in your special education classroom. So today, that's what I'm going to show you about. And what it all boils down to are a few basic points that really make the makerspace accessible for everyone, not just gen ed students. UDL, Universal Design for Learning. When we implement and take considerations to design our space with Universal Design for Learning in mind, that opens up the space for everyone to be able to access it. Another concept that educators who have a makerspace in their special education classroom should really take into consideration during development is design thinking process. But there are 5 basic principles that go along with design thinking process. Step number 1 is empathize. You're going to research your community, you're going to research problems that there may be. Step 2 is define, state that problem clearly. Stage 3 is to ideate, and that is simply brainstorming. Step number 4 is prototype. This is where you begin to create solutions. 5, put them to the test. Do these ideas work? We cannot overemphasize the importance of safety in a makerspace for anyone, especially in the special ed classroom. We want to have everything clearly labeled, a place for everything. We want to have warning signs, but most importantly, we want to have rigorous training, and we want to have adult supervision at all times. This will help our special needs learners access the makerspace in a way that is functional and meaningful for them. Another consideration that we need to take is our student population. We know our students, we know who's going to be using these spaces, and we need to take that into consideration when we're designing our space. For example, if we have students who struggle with behavior issues, we may not want to start them off with hot or sharp objects. Instead, we would start them on simpler manipulatives, easy to build activities, and so forth, things like that, but in a way that the students are still solving problems with their creations or using the design thinking process to build and design whatever it is that they're working on. In the special ed makerspace, it is incredibly important that we have our routines and schedules laid out and that students are familiar with them before we ever even set foot into the makerspace. For example, this year in my makerspace, we're doing a large group project where we intend to build an 8-foot tall Bigfoot out of paper mache, and that's going to teach students where to find some of the tools in the makerspace, how to use them, how to think in building in layers, and how to solve problems on the fly as we attempt to construct essentially an 8-foot tall humanoid being out of paper and other materials. And most of the materials, if not all of the materials that we'll be using for this project, are safe, the process will be fun, and the end result should lead to a lot of good times, laughs, great photos that we can put out there on social media to really share with the community what we're doing. Sharing with the community is a great way to generate interest in what you're doing in your classroom. It's a great way to generate interest among your students and make them want to be involved. And it's a good way to get your name out there for future funding purposes. Funding a makerspace such as this can be very expensive. DonorsChoose.org. Your district may have different policies in place for how to use that funding website, but I like it because you can choose the exact items that you want, post your project, and then donors will donate to it, and you get sent those items directly. Another source of funding, as I mentioned, is through the district, and there's a couple ways to going about that. I always recommend starting with your building principal. They know the resources that are available. They know some fundings. They may have certain funds earmarked for stuff like this, for student and teacher initiatives. You may also want to direct your student services department and let them know what you're doing. A lot of this and what we do in here is actually vocational and independent living training, which is a big part of what we do here in the special ed unit. And so I was actually able to procure a lot of these items directly through student services because of funds that they had earmarked for just such projects. Your district may have an endowment fund. You may look to the PTA to see if they have grants, or you can do a quick search online. The other day I Googled Makerspace grants, and one through the state of Ohio came up, and it said, hey, apply by October 5th and you could get $2,500 to $5,000. I don't know if I get it, but if I do, we're going to take this to the next level.
Next level.
So let me go around and give you a brief tour of what we got, what we've been working on, and we'll just continue to discuss how to make your makerspace accessible and meaningful to all of your students with special needs.